This is the Construction Leading Edge podcast from constructionleadingedge.com. My name is Todd DeWalt. It's my job to help you, the construction business owner, eliminate chaos, maximize profits. Got a great conversation for you today, and here's what you're going to learn about in this episode. You'll learn about what's in it for you to learn about sustainability and start incorporating it into your projects. You'll learn about where the growing pressure is coming from to embrace sustainability in construction and what could happen to those who get left behind. We'll talk about what is a home energy management system and why do homeowners want it. We'll talk about how to future-proof your projects, the type of green that everybody loves, and the carrots that are out there when it comes to sustainability, the incentives, as well as some of the sticks. There are some incentives and then there are some penalties or disincentives. But before we get to that, let me ask you this. What if you could get out of your business so that it runs without you? Well, there's a couple of things I want to share with you. Number one, there's an online workshop that I've created to help you learn how to get out of your business so it runs without you. You can check out that online workshop and register for it over at constructionleadingedge.com/get out. constructionleadingedge.com/GETOUT. And if you own a construction business and you've owned that business for at least 2 years and you have a team and you'd like to work with me and my team to help you get out of your business so it runs without you, then I would invite you to schedule a strategy call with me and my team over at constructionleadingedge.com. You'll see a button that says schedule a strategy call. Here are a couple of other resources I want to share with you before we get into that conversation about sustainability. The owner of an electrical contracting business sent me an email a while back that said, and I quote, "Here's a real-life example of the dangers of sending employees to the supply stores. As you can see, this is not a profit bleed, it's a profit gusher." He has GPS tracking on his trucks, so he ran a report showing how much time his vehicles were spending at the supply store, and he said, quote, "The data was staggering to me." How much time is your team wasting every week driving and shopping? And how much is that costing you? Add up the cost of labor, fuel, maintenance, plus the opportunity cost, which is the revenue that you're missing out on. Well, today I'd like to introduce you to Curri, Curri. Think Uber for last mile delivery of construction supplies. You can use the Curri platform to get matched with drivers who have the vehicle you need to move the materials you need, whether it's a small box, a big box, lumber, pipe, pallets, whatever you need. If this sounds interesting to you, visit constructionleadingedge.com/Curri. That's Curri, and get $40 of free credit when you sign up. Stay out of stores with Curri. That's constructionleadingedge.com/Curri, Curri. As a contractor, you manage a ton of jobs every day, and trying to keep up to speed and ensure work actually gets done takes up way too much time. And that's where Company Cam comes in. Every photo and video your guys take at a job is automatically organized by location and instantly synced from the field to wherever you are. Now, you'll know exactly what's happening across your company, be able to communicate more effectively, and cover your butt from future claims. Document your jobs, communicate with your crews, and protect your company, all with Company Cam, the only app every contractor needs. Get started today at companycam.com/CLE. All right, now let's talk about sustainability and what's in it for you to learn about it. Here you go. All right, we're going to be talking about sustainability and home energy management and lots of other interesting stuff. Looking at where the industry is going, I have a couple of experts in the field here with us today. So Brad Willis and Jacob Atala. Brad is with, and I'll just actually let you guys introduce yourself. So Brad, if you would give us a quick intro of who you're with and what you do.
Yeah, so Brad Wills with Schneider Electric. I've been at Schneider now coming up on 29 years, mostly in around the residential business. And my responsibilities today uh, include a number of things, but as relevant to this conversation, I'm in charge of our Homebuilder program and working with home builders like KB Home on initiatives that quite frankly we're going to talk about today.
Gotcha.
And I'm Jacob. Yeah, and I'm Jacob Atella, Vice President of Innovation and Sustainability at KB Home. Been with KB Home for 17 years and really was delighted to be involved in KB Home's sustainability journey. It's a journey that we started about 15 years ago, and I can clearly say that sustainability is in the integral part of our business that we do on a daily basis.
And tell us a little bit about your business. You shared some statistics about how long you've been in business, the geography that KB Home covers, and how many homes are built a year. But we did that before we hit record. So could you share a little bit about that?
Sure. So KB Home is one of the top 10 builders, national production builders in the country. We build from coast to coast, mostly on the Sun Belt of the nation. And we're one of the oldest builders in the nation. So with that, we've built over 600,000 homes. Last year, we closed over 13,000 homes, and each one of them is built to the voluntary program by US EPA, that's Energy Star New Home Certification Program. So every one of our homes is more energy efficient than code, and in fact save a good amount of carbon, but also save our customers a lot of money on their utility bills.
And Brad, tell us a little bit about Schneider Electric. Give us an idea of the scale.
So Schneider is basically the global leader in electrical distribution and control, and number one in the U.S. Marketplace as far as it pertains to the residential space, both single family and multifamily. Long history in providing, the top quality product around electrical protection, but now expanding that to electrical energy management and control, and really starting to bring the electrical distribution system of the home, meaning, from where your electricity comes in all the way down to where you use it at a plug or a switch or et cetera, into a connected ecosystem that really starts to open up a lot of possibilities around energy management, efficiency, resiliency, and really just comfort and convenience on top of that.
Perfect. So let's get into the nuts and bolts of this. But first, let's start with some of the terminology that, frankly, I'm not 100% sure I'm familiar with. Let's talk about, what does electrical energy management look like? What does this connected ecosystem look like in real life?
Yeah, so the solutions that we've brought to the marketplace now include some really innovative technologies that we've included in the load center itself, meaning, that panel either on the outside or inside of the home. And it's a simple solution called Wiser Energy that not only monitors the total usage, right, but more importantly, takes it down to a granular level where it starts to recognize your dishwasher, your HVAC system, your refrigerator. And what's really innovative about it, it's a learning system. So it's almost commission free. It's install it, connect it to your Wi-Fi, walk away, and then it starts watching and learning and reporting back to you, here's what I see, here's what's going on in your home. We've then taken that to the next level to say, okay, Schneider Electric is the number 2 wiring device manufacturer in the world. We're number two because we haven't been in the North American market till last year. We've launched a full line for the residential marketplace, but most importantly inside that line is, Wi-Fi and Z-Wave, switches, dimmers, outlets, and they do everything you would expect those devices to do. But more importantly, the really unique thing is they're all meters too. So each of those devices is also an energy meter. So you take that along with the Wiser Energy solution we have in the load center, and we've created this grid to plug connected solution that provides one UI to show you in granular real-time detail. Here's how much energy you're using. Here's where you're using it, and beginning to give you the control through those devices to say, okay, I want to make some changes in my behavior. And what we found is just providing that granular level of detail is the first step to that behavior change.
Yeah, Brad, I like that what you said. In a nutshell, I also like to say, term that smart energy. We're now into smart energy.
Exactly.
And when you combine that with renewables, which some of your devices that we're going to talk about today play very well with renewables and with storage, you really start having smart, clean energy. And these are key words and key directional words to where we need to go in the future in terms of net zero carbon as part of the climate action.
Exactly. And I think, we oftentimes, as an industry, when we think about carbon, we think about commercial buildings and industrial facilities, and we don't realize that 34% of the CO2 comes from homes. So more than a third of our CO2 is coming from residential homes. So there's a huge opportunity if we can start to provide more efficiency combined with the renewables that Jacob mentions, we can begin to really significantly lower that CO2 footprint.
So here's my question. There's probably a question that's bouncing around in the heads of the construction business owners and executives and leaders listening to this. And it's, what's in it for me? Why should I do this? Or what's the business case for sustainability and energy management? I think we would all agree it's good to take care of the environment. It's all good to reduce wasting. None of us really like to waste anything, but there obviously are some hurdles to overcome to do this. So, Jacob, what's the business case for a builder to embrace these technologies and this approach?
Thank you. I will use that for the builder. My answer is going to be more focused on home building than general construction, but I think it applies beyond home building. First, I would say that we have to meet code, and energy codes are moving more stringent with every cycle, code cycle. And we have to be prepared for that. The low-hanging fruit is almost done. Okay, it's been codified a long time ago and it's done. We now have to go to transformational technologies that really will be multipliers, if you will, force multipliers beyond the insulation and efficiency of HVAC and water heating and so on. We have to have these force multipliers. So just to stay relevant to code and in line with it, that's one reason to continue to look for innovations and move forward with it. You want innovations to help you with cost reduction, cost to build, and that's an important part. Then, of course, moving beyond code to lowering the emissions, you want to start factoring in the renewable energy. You want to factor in also grid reliance, and how do we create more resilience in the new homes? Because frankly, with climate change, grid reliance sometimes, as we saw in recent couple of years, is in question sometimes.
Mm-hmm. And then, Jacob, wouldn't you say that with COVID, you're probably seeing a lot of homeowners that are looking for a different use in that home, right? For working from home, and that just multiplies the importance of that resiliency.
Exactly. I mean, who can be working from home and without internet, right? It can't happen.
Yeah, I just in the last couple of weeks, I purchased a UPS battery backup and a generator because business continuity. If I'm in the middle of something really important and the power goes out, maybe my laptop stays alive for a while, but my internet goes down. So
exactly right.
Let's talk about that term resiliency. What I think we've seen the fragility or the lack of resiliency in the grid, say, a year ago in February 2021 in Texas. That seems like that was a case study in resiliency. But how does my question is, how does the work that a builder or a contractor is doing affect resiliency of the power grid, if at all?
Well, I think the way to look at it, Todd, is up to this point, we've been building homes with the assumption that there would only be one energy source called an electric utility, right? At least as far as electricity goes. But now you've got the grid. In California, you're absolutely going to have solar because it's required. You may add a battery to that. You may also have a supplemental generator of some sort. And if you're lucky enough to get on the Ford F-150 Lightning pickup list, you're going to have a mobile generator as well. So you could have up to 4 or 5 different sources or paths of electricity. And so we have to start assuming that whether at the time of new construction or down the road, that the home needs to be future-proofed and ready for that. And if it is, then, for example, what happened in Texas, homeowners ran out to Home Depot, and if they were lucky enough to find a generator, they brought it home only to find out it had this really weird cable that doesn't go anywhere unless maybe it matches up to their dryer outlet. And they unplug their dryer, they plug it in, and they try to backfeed their whole house. Doesn't work. And also, if they don't turn that main breaker off, they're putting line workers at risk.
Yeah,
to be electrocuted, right? So, so this solution says no. We have to assume that homes are going to have multiple sources of electricity, and quite frankly, as Jake will attest, only electricity, right? So natural gas is going away.
Exactly. There is going to be more reliance on an all electric home. And as such, energy management, as Brad said earlier, the wiser energy management system, managing that energy, whether it's a normal connected to grid time or islanding disconnected from the grid and you're running a generator or drawing power from your battery, that management is important because none of us have the capacity to run everything as if it's it's a normal day. No, it's not normal event, and we need that management system to be able to direct energy power to the right uses in the house.
And just like we've done in other segments, whether it's data centers or other critical power situations, we're really just bringing that mentality to this residential space. And more importantly, what we're trying to do for Jacob's customer is to say, you get to just live and enjoy your home, even though the grid is less reliable, even though your utility now has moved to dynamic variable pricing. etc., you don't have to become the facility manager of your home, right? With a solution like this, it's going to say, okay, when rates from San Diego Gas and Electric or Pacific Gas and Electric spike up to 33 cents a kilowatt hour, I want to go to island mode and I only want to run these things and I want to run them off my battery, right? Or I want to shut some things off, and it's just going to do it, right? You're not going to have to keep an eye on, well, what's the electric rate? Do I need to go out and flip breakers on and off, start up a generator? You get to just enjoy your home and your family.
I like it. So let's talk about this question. What are some practical, technical ways that home builders are incorporating these sustainable materials and the technology we're talking about into their homes to increase efficiency and resiliency?
Yeah, I mean, all these technologies, the first thing we need to keep in mind is that the home is a system. The overall home, you got to think about it as a system. And whenever you are adjusting the system, you got to always stay holistic and look at the overall harmonization of that system. Also, I always have looked at a builder's role as a curator. We're curators of best of solutions, most cost-effective solutions, but perhaps the more forward-thinking kind of solutions. At the same time, it's not just these two balls that you have to juggle. There is even a third one, which is the affordability of housing. Mm-hmm. And so how do you take all these three and juggle them and come up with the right formula? Yeah. So to us, it's innovations. It's working closely with our supply chain partners, such as Schneider, and always working on the formula of cost effectiveness, affordability, as well as staying with them on their journey for innovations. In the staying with them, I would say, if possible, just don't stand on the sideline, but get involved. Try to give a feedback on the innovation, its practicality. Try to give feedback on, not feedback, but give them room to test and pilot with your team and with the trades that you work with. I think these are the kind of things that altogether make for what we need to do next easier and facilitating it in a sense.
Yeah, and then to support Jacob's objectives around affordability, and also just from a trade labor standpoint, when you add these things, you're making it more complicated, right? So how can we, as a manufacturer, bring solutions that actually simplify it, even though you're adding more to it? And so what we have done with many of our solutions is, yes, it costs more from a material standpoint. However, for example, when putting in Energy Center with a solar system and a battery, you're going to save a day's labor on that solar and battery install overall, because we've taken what would end up being 3, 4, 5 different boxes and a lot of complicated wire and conduit that is being custom installed and conduit bent on site. And we've turned those 4 or 5 boxes into one, right? Which is not only the simplification of it, but also I think Jacob would agree, aesthetically it makes the home look a lot nicer, because you don't have a whole wall of your garage covered in electrical equipment.
Yeah, and I would say everybody but electricians would appreciate that. An electrician would definitely appreciate more conduit, especially
Actually, Todd, you'd be surprised. they labor is such an issue, and being able to take care of customers like Jacob in a timely fashion right now, that labor savings on the job is actually very appreciated. And we've gotten testimonials of that from both electrical contractors and solar installers.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're modularizing it and packaging it up instead of building it on site. Makes sense. So let's talk about this question. How big is the eco-conscious homebuyer demographic, and how is it impacting the construction industry? Is it about the same as it was 5 years ago? Is it growing? But let's talk about that eco-conscious homebuyer and the impact it's having on the construction industry.
Actually, it's growing.
Go ahead, Jacob.
I was just reflecting on what you said, 5 years compared to 5 years. Yeah, it's definitely growing, Todd. And I'm sure Brad also has some experience there. But I want to say that I want to start from a fundamental level and say everybody loves green. The first green they love is the green dollar in their pocket. And then it could be other greens. If we start from that perspective and show the customer value and savings, then you don't have to worry if they are an eco-conscious customer or a regular traditional customer, okay? Everybody loves these features because they save money or add value to their home, to their lifestyle, etc. But then at KB Home, we said, no, we do have to care about the environment and do the green, the other green building. And to that extent, so that you don't have to worry, is this an eco-conscious customer or a traditional typical customer? You don't have to worry about it. We made eco solutions baked into the homes that we build, and they are the default. Mm-hmm. We're not trying to say to the customer, look, you have to pay more for the eco solution home. While it's the size is growing and the interest is growing, I think the best thing to do for construction industry is to bake this into what they do every day, and look for ways to make it cost effective and affordable.
Yeah, and I would add to that, Todd, just a very recent, like this week, a study came out and said 44% of internet homes actively work to reduce energy consumption in their home. And another roughly 20-something% said, I would like to use less energy, but not, I don't want to invest a lot of time in it. And then about another 15% said, I would like to use less energy, but do not know how to do it. Right. And so we have 44% that are actively engaged in trying to do it. And the problem they have is if they're fortunate enough to have a smart meter on their house and their utility gives them access to that online, yes, they can see their total energy usage maybe on a daily basis. And that's it. And what we've actually found, we thought we would be competing with the smart meter with our Wiser Energy solution. It was exactly the opposite. Where smart meters exist and people are engaged with smart meters, they say, boy, I wish I had something that went more granular, right? And so now they do, because now they can actually say, oh, it's not really the lights, especially with LED lighting. It's my HVAC, it's my whatever, right? And then for those that say they don't want to spend much time in it, that goes back to my previous comment. They don't want to be the facility manager of their home. They just want to live in their home. So if we can find those friction-free ways for them to one time engage in an app and say, here's kind of how I want to live, right? And then set it and forget it, if you will, and let the home manage that for them. Then they get to save that energy, but they don't invest the time, right? So, and then in that last 15%, they just don't know how. So that's just an awareness issue, right? So if you look at that, you're looking at close to 90% of internet homes are in some way or have a desire, to reduce their energy usage.
And Brad, Todd, I would like to just add to that a little bit more. Another survey. This one was admittedly a little bit more focused on water efficiency, but that's part of what we as construction industry have to also deal with. So I'll just quickly mention that 70% of consumers surveyed are looking for greener products. 78% of them feel that there is a personal responsibility to change daily habits so that we can positively impact the environment. And 87% of them view water as the most important natural resource in their daily life. So it's important, but we know that its availability is becoming more constrained. So I think these things will continue to evolve the consumer attitude towards eco solutions and transformational technologies like the ones from Schneider.
Yeah. Let's shift gears and talk about California. California has historically been on the leading edge of sustainability and a variety of other regulatory pressures that affect the construction industry. What are some challenges that California homeowners are currently facing that other states might expect to face soon that energy management tech is essential to combating?
Brad, would you like to start or?
Go ahead, Jacob.
All right. So in California, it was on the news yesterday. A fire chief was saying, look, we don't have a fire season anymore. We have a fire year. We were having in Orange County, Southern California, we were having a little bit of wildfire. Thankfully, it's under control. But the point is, that's what California is facing. Climate change that, as a result, is starting to question or put in jeopardy the reliability of electricity on electric service on a daily basis. The utilities are practicing what's called public safety power shutoffs when there are high winds. And clearly, that's for the public good. We understand that, but it creates inconveniences for homeowners in California. So we have been seeing more interest from our customers who are buying homes that have already solar on the roof. Okay, we're seeing interest in adding the battery because then, if you don't have the battery, even if you have solar, under a public safety power shutoff, your solar system stops, basically, needs to stop. If you put a battery, then it can continue your island and you can continue to use that electricity. So we're seeing more interest in the battery. And as Brad mentioned earlier, when you start combining solar and battery, then it makes a lot of sense to use one of the Schneider new innovated smart energy centers. And from an aesthetics might be the least important, but it is there, as well as all the functionality it starts adding and managing with that wiser management system.
Yeah. So it is, again, it assumes that you're going to have multiple sources And few people are going to be able to afford the number of batteries and or generators to power that whole house. So it also says, okay, here's my critical circuits, here's my non-critical circuits. But it also assumes that's not static over time, that's dynamic. And so by combining essentially the backup panel into one panel and I'm being able to isolate that automatically, we also make it very easy down the road should the homeowner's needs change or its home sold to a different homeowner. It's just a simple, operation of buying an electrician to move a breaker from one part of the panel to the other, and now that goes from critical to non-critical or vice versa. Whereas before, you'd have to, okay, let's rip up the stucco on the outside of the wall, maybe some drywall on the inside of the wall, rerun some wires. It's, a day's long work. And you got to get the stucco guy back out there and hopefully match up to your previous stucco or whatever exterior service you have. So again, just it's that assumption that you're going to have multiple sources of electricity and your needs are going to change over time.
So what I'm hearing you guys say is that and what I'm seeing from the big picture, I just saw an interesting graph about the shortage of single family homes and multifamily homes. So we have this growing demand for housing. We have an energy grid that's already fragile, and we have climate change, and people, in order to future-proof your home, those homes need to have the ability to tap into multiple power sources, which deals with the resiliency. And it also, it's really a combination of resiliency and its sustainability.
And efficiency, because if I can charge that battery when it's 20 cents a kilowatt hour and I can use it when the rates jump up to 30 or 40 cents, I'm saving, I'm basically arbitraging power, right?
Yeah. Interesting. So there's a growing demand from consumers because of all these challenges we've talked about. But I'm curious, are you seeing, should builders expect some regulatory pressure? I just read something this morning that some global corporation has set a goal to be net zero by 2030. There must be some reason behind that, but what sort of regulatory pressure should builders and the whole construction industry as a whole expect to see that will force them to, if they want to stay at the table and stay in the game, to become more sustainable and more efficient?
I'd say there are three layers to, let's say, the drive to decarbonize. Okay, I'm not going to call it pressures. Drive to decarbonize. Number one, codes. I mentioned that at the top of this podcast, and code is moving towards net zero. Eventually, we'll get there. Let's stay on California. They already, for example, signaled that. And in the upcoming code, it's called the 2022 Title 24 Energy Code. They're already asking for a sub panel to be installed, even though you don't have solar, you don't have battery, but a sub panel to be installed for a future addition of a battery, etc. So we have cost to go into that would be in addition to the traditional breaker panel. Why not combine them as what Schneider is doing with this new innovation that they have? So that's the code driving where it's driving things towards. Second thing is beyond code, and to your point, Todd, ESG, environmental, social, and governance, has been picking up interest at both in international and national level, both at the regulatory side and also on the investor side. So on the regulatory side, you have initiatives that we're hearing about that probably will see the light of day in the next few years, like from the Securities and Exchange Commission wanting corporations to report on decarbonization and as part of the ESG critical data that should be in annual reports of these corporations. And beyond that, investors are also looking at, companies that don't turn the corner on climate action and don't have a plan for it might become irrelevant companies in the future. So you do want to, investors want to invest in companies that will be viable in the future, that have tools to address climate risks. And therefore, all these three, you put them together. And yes, it's very important to start looking at ESG, and not just within the company itself, but to look at it throughout your supply chain and partner with leaders in ESG like Schneider, that because, as builders, as construction industry, what we do is a sum of many, many parts that come from somewhere else. So what is the efficacy of that product that you're buying? Are you buying it from the right supplier? All these things matter today and will matter even more in the future.
Well said.
What about you, Brad? Anything to add to that? Anything that you see on the horizon that folks in the construction industry should be aware of as it pertains to either regulatory or in investor pressure to do this? Maybe it's not even pressure. It's just sounds like there's an expectation and a requirement.
Yeah, I think where I can, I guess my line of sight to it has been at Schneider. This is what we do, right? Whether it's for operational efficiency or sustainability or resiliency, this is what we do for our customers, and we are applying that to ourselves as well. And so last year, 70% of our revenues were revenues that were sold to customers to drive sustainable solutions. So I kind of look at it from that commercial perspective to say, whether it's regulatory, social, et cetera, it's happening. And we actually have a goal to go to 80% of our revenues to drive that will be contributing to sustainable solutions. And it's a key metric that Global Knights uses in their assessment, and noted Schneider Electric as the most sustainable company on the planet.
So what else?
Sorry, good. Todd, can I just add one more thing real quick?
Absolutely.
I would encourage the construction industry to also look for incentives that might be in place for building lower energy intensity buildings, lower carbon buildings, etc. And for example, I'll just give a couple of examples. In California, just recently announced about a month ago, there is now an incentive for building an all-electric home. That incentive really pays for all the incrementals that we may encounter in adding up our direct costs. Eventually, incentives go away, like there were in California incentives for solar for a long time. So it's the carrot. But then it became codified in the energy code, and that's sort of the stick, and let's take advantage of the carrots while we have the opportunity to do that, to help transform the market. That's the point here.
And I think, people are willing to pay for it. We've seen in the multifamily space, and I think it's true in the single family space as well, but specifically in the multifamily space, building owners are realizing they can charge more rent per month for an apartment or townhome, whatever, that is not only smart, but is smart and sustainable. And it's a meaningful number in additional rent that they can charge when they meet those criteria.
So what I'm hearing you say is, when we look at the pressure, the stick, which is a great analogy, the stick that's out there, maybe it's here, maybe it's coming, regulatory pressure, energy codes will require it. And I think that's a great way to look at it. It sounds like things that start out as incentives eventually they become codified, and they become stick, they become requirements. So maybe that's a good filter is, what are we being incentivized for? And then plan on those being requirements at some point. But regulatory pressures from investors who only want to back companies that, as you said, will be able to turn the corner and be relevant in the future because they see what's coming. There's pressure from customers who have changing needs. So pressure from all around. So it seems like the smart thing to do would be to get ahead of the curve and fix things. Well, here's what I find. The unfortunate reality is a lot of small construction business owners follow some really bad advice, which is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And they just wait until things break to try to fix it. Yeah. And maybe they can strap on their Superman cape and rescue their company from certain doom. But what's a lot less exciting is just see what's coming. And fire prevention is a lot better than firefighting. So that's great advice. Mm-hmm. We are running short on time. I appreciate all the time you guys have spent. I think we've really enlightened. You guys have done a great job of highlighting a lot of valuable content that people haven't really thought about. So my last question before we talk about where folks can connect with you and find out more about what you're up to is, for the people who are thinking, wow, I need to get started. What do they do? How can someone get started on this journey as a construction business owner?
Take the first step. Don't wait for the perfect formula. Take first steps, explore, ask, where are some incentives that I can take advantage of? These sort of opportunities, small as they might be, they're a great way to start a journey of 1,000 miles or 1,000 steps. Start with the first one.
Good advice. Brad, what about you?
Yeah, I think, I kind of look at it as, just look at wages, right? Water, air, gas, electric. Don't assume that those resources, those utilities, can continue to be delivered the same way, and start it. And don't assume that it's always been that way, so it's always going to be that way. There are huge innovations, not only in the electrical space, but across that entire wages platform that can really save someone in the construction space a lot of time and material at the time of construction, but also make that building more operationally sustainable, which, if it's a residential single family home, that's going to help that homeowner make that home more affordable. If it's a building owner who's renting it, that building's going to last longer and be more rentable over a longer period of time. So I investigate those things. We have a lot of resources in Schneider Electric's websites to learn about whether it's residential, commercial, industrial, whatever.
Well, that's a perfect segue for my next question, which is, where should people go if they want to learn more about Schneider Electric and or connect with somebody on your team, Brad? Where's the best place for them to go?
So I would tell them just go search Schneider Electric Connected Home, and it'll be the first thing that pops up, and you can go see our entire story around the connected home and the value that it brings, not only for that end user, but through the whole value chain.
Great stuff. And I'll find that link and I'll share that in the show notes for those of you listening. Jacob, what about you? If folks want to find out more about working for KB Home, working with KB Home, or just find out more about your company, where's the best place they can go to learn more about the company or maybe even connect with you?
I'll start with learn about the company, perhaps specific to sustainability. The good starting point is to look at our sustainability reports. We've been doing annual sustainability reports for the last 14 years, coming on the 15th year. And it documents our journey. That's at kbhome.com/sustainability. As far as connecting with us, we welcome innovations and welcome questions at sustainability@kbhome.com.
Got it. And I'll be sure to include those in the show notes. Well, gentlemen, I really appreciate it. This has been a pretty fascinating conversation for me. I think it's helped a lot of people. I appreciate you, gentlemen, taking the time to be on the podcast. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you. We enjoyed it.
All right. I hope you took notes. And as always, I encourage you to take one thing that you would like to implement from this. What is something you're going to take action on? Maybe it's a 5-minute action item, and take action on that. And remember, if you'd like to get out of your construction business so it runs without you, so you can have more time and more freedom and probably more income, 2 things for you. Number 1, you can go register for my online workshop over at constructionleadingedge.com/get out. That's constructionleadingedge.com/GETOUT. And if you own a construction business and you've been in business for at least 2 years and you have a team and you'd like to talk about getting out of your business and having your business run without you, then I would invite you to schedule a strategy call with my team. And you can do that at constructionleadingedge.com. You'll see a button on there to schedule a free strategy call. Thank you so much for the ratings and the reviews. Thank you for listening to the podcast. And I will see you next time. Remember, with Company Cam, there's no more second guessing about what's getting done or pestering your crews to send you pictures. Every photo and video your guys take at a job is automatically organized by location and instantly synced from the field to wherever you are. Now you'll know exactly what's happening across your company. Get started today at companycam.com/CLE. Don't forget to visit constructionleadingedge.com/curry, that's CURRI, to request a 15-minute demo or just sign up directly for a free $40 credit on your Curry account. Stay out of stores. Start using Curry for construction material delivery today. That's constructionleadingedge.com/CURRI.